For years, ISIS leaders ruled through fear. They commanded armies, controlled cities, and declared themselves rulers of a new caliphate. At their peak, ISIS controlled territory the size of the United Kingdom and ruled over millions of people across Iraq and Syria. But one by one, every leader of ISIS met the same fate. Airstrikes, special forces raids, missiles from drones they never even saw. Some died instantly. Some were pulled from rubble. Others chose to kill themselves rather than be captured. This is how every ISIS leader died. Abu Musab al-Zarqawi, the man who started it. The story begins before ISIS even existed. Abu Musab al-Zarqawi was the founder of what would eventually become ISIS. A Jordanian militant, Zarqawi built a terrorist network in Iraq after the 2003 U.S. invasion. His group was known as Al-Qaeda in Iraq, and he was infamous even among terrorists. Zarqawi pioneered the use of filmed beheadings and deliberately targeted civilians to provoke sectarian war between Sunnis and Shiites. His brutality shocked the world. Even Al-Qaeda leadership reportedly warned him that his violence was going too far. By 2006, the United States had made killing Zarqawi one of its top priorities. Intelligence agencies tracked him for months. Then, on June 7, 2006, Zarqawi made a mistake. He went to a safe house outside the Iraqi city of Baquba for a meeting with a spiritual advisor. American surveillance drones had already spotted the building. 2 U.S. Air Force F-16 fighter jets were sent to the location. They dropped 2 500-pound laser-guided bombs. The safe house was obliterated. Zarqawi survived the initial blast, but was critically injured. U.S. soldiers arrived shortly after and found him barely alive. Minutes later, he died from his injuries. The founder of ISIS had been eliminated by a single airstrike. But the organization he built didn't disappear. It evolved. Abu Omar al-Baghdadi, the first Islamic State leader. After Zarqawi's death, the group rebranded itself. It declared the creation of the Islamic State of Iraq, and its new leader was Abu Omar al-Baghdadi. Little was known about him for years. He rarely appeared in public and communicated mostly through audio recordings. But by 2010, U.S. and Iraqi intelligence had finally tracked him down. On April 18, 2010, Iraqi forces and U.S. Special Operations launched a raid near the city of Tikrit. Helicopters surrounded a compound where Abu Omar al-Baghdadi was hiding with another senior leader. The raid escalated into a firefight. Both men were killed during the operation. When Iraqi Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki announced the news, he declared the deaths a major blow to the organization. But ISIS once again found another leader, and this one would become far more dangerous. Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, the Caliph. Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi transformed ISIS from a terrorist group into a pseudo-state. In 2014, he stood in a mosque in the Iraqi city of Mosul and declared himself Caliph Ibrahim, leader of a global Islamic caliphate. At its peak, ISIS controlled large parts of Iraq and Syria, including major cities like Mosul and Raqqa. Millions lived under its rule. But by 2019, the caliphate had collapsed under pressure from international forces. Baghdadi went into hiding. For months, intelligence agencies searched for him. Then they found him in northwest Syria, hiding in a compound near the village of Barisha. On October 26, 2019, U.S. Special Forces launched a secret mission. 8 helicopters carrying Delta Force operators and Army Rangers crossed into Syria. They surrounded the compound and launched the assault. Baghdadi panicked. As troops moved in, he grabbed several children and fled into a tunnel beneath the building. But the tunnel had no exit. American forces sent in a military working dog. Cornered and with nowhere to escape, Baghdadi detonated a suicide vest. The explosion killed him and the children he had dragged with him. The tunnel collapsed. When U.S. forces recovered the remains, DNA testing confirmed his identity. The self-declared caliph of ISIS had died hiding underground.
Abu Ibrahim al-Hashimi al-Qurashi, the hidden successor. After Baghdadi's death, ISIS quickly named a new leader, Abu Ibrahim al-Hashimi al-Qurashi. Unlike Baghdadi, he remained extremely secretive. For years, few photos of him existed. He rarely appeared publicly and stayed hidden in northern Syria. But intelligence agencies eventually located him in a residential building in the town of Atme, near the Turkish border. On February 3, 2022, U.S. Special Forces launched another nighttime raid. Helicopters surrounded the building while commandos prepared to capture him. But before troops could reach him, al-Qurashi triggered a massive explosion. He detonated explosives inside the house. The blast killed him and members of his own family. The explosion was so powerful that it destroyed much of the building. The second leader of ISIS had killed himself rather than surrender. Abu al-Hasan al-Hashimi al-Qurashi, the short-lived leader. After that explosion, ISIS named yet another successor, Abu al-Hasan al-Hashimi al-Qurashi. But his leadership didn't last long. He remained in hiding in southern Syria while ISIS attempted to rebuild its command structure. In October 2022, Syrian rebel fighters launched an operation against a hideout where he was believed to be staying. As forces surrounded the building, al-Hasan detonated explosives. Like his predecessor, he chose suicide rather than capture. ISIS later confirmed that he had been killed during the operation. Another leader gone. Abu al-Hussein al-Husseini al-Qurashi, killed in Turkey. The next leader was Abu al-Hussein al-Husseini al-Qurashi. By this point, ISIS no longer controlled territory the way it once had. Its leadership had been pushed underground, but intelligence agencies were still tracking them. In April 2023, Turkish intelligence located him hiding in a house in northern Syria. As security forces closed in, al-Hussein detonated a suicide vest, killing himself before he could be captured. It was becoming a pattern. Every ISIS leader was either killed in raids, blown apart in airstrikes, or died by suicide as capture became inevitable. Abu Hafs al-Hashimi al-Qurashi, the current leader. After the death of Abu al-Hussein, ISIS announced yet another successor, Abu Hafs al-Hashimi al-Qurashi. Very little is publicly known about him. His real identity remains unclear, and he operates entirely in secrecy. ISIS today is no longer the massive territorial state it once was. But the group still exists as an insurgent network operating across parts of the Middle East and Africa. And its leadership continues to hide. Because history has shown something very clearly. Every ISIS leader eventually gets found. Look at the pattern. Zarqawi, killed by an airstrike. Abu Omar al-Baghdadi, killed in a raid. Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, detonated a suicide vest in a tunnel. Abu Ibrahim al-Hashimi, blew himself up during a raid. Abu al-Hasan, suicide during a siege. Abu al-Hussein, suicide when surrounded. Different locations, different years, different methods, but the same ending. Every leader of ISIS eventually dies hiding, hunted, and surrounded. For organizations built on fear and violence, leadership rarely ends with retirement. It usually ends with an explosion, a raid, or a missile. And history suggests that sooner or later, the same fate catches up to every successor. If you found this video interesting, like and subscribe for more.